Okay, so mission 3. By this point, you're either hating this game completely or you're just not watching. This is, I mean, everybody has one of those kind of things that they've always wanted to do. The reason I come back to old PC games is actually because of stuff like this. You know, you get that fond memory of, oh wow, that game was really cool, and you just want to play it again. And I think everyone's got one of them, if it's Mario or Mega Man or something like that. And for me, this is definitely captive, so I'm a big fan. So this is level 3. We're now at 4 times speed because the levels are getting slightly longer, so bear with me as we go through this. Yeah, by this point, obviously still using axes, but I think in this level it starts to change. We start to see, already we've seen generators, but already we start to see some kind of tougher baddies take a bit more to kill. But that's really, I guess, part of the game. Just maybe a minute of instilling the virtues of DOSBox here, because everything that generally you find is that, you know, most of the modern operating systems just won't run any old games for the obvious reasons. But I guess the benefits of programs like DOSBox is you can actually play them. Now, DOSBox does output obviously onto your screen, but you have to change it so you can fraps it. But that's obviously an easy fix. Just Google that and you'll see that. But yeah, there's some really, I mean, again, just, you know, amazing program. Whoever created it and programmed it, I love you so much, because just going through, I mean, I was able to download probably, you know, over maybe 150 games that used to play on the old Amiga, the Atari ST, and you know, and so on. So, you know, it is a great program, and I'll probably show a few more of them. You know, just an example maybe is Dune, one of the first, well, certainly I think the first RTS that came out was Dune 2. Dune 1 was a very good role-playing game, but Dune 2 was I guess the beginning of the whole RTS. Certainly from, I think, Westwood Studios. That's where they, you know, the Command and Conquer then led from. But I was having a game of Dune 2, and the problem with Dune 2 is it's not the best game to actually play and then get some kind of visual footage from. So I ended up actually playing Dune 2000, which was a remake, obviously, for the year 2000 of the Dune engine using a bit better graphics. So I'll show some of that a bit later on, because again, I had great fun playing it. And again, it's difficult to say really, because sometimes I think games they suck if they've got bad graphics. And I think, you know, a lot of the games that were on the Amiga were just they weren't great, because effectively, you know, you're having to, you know, you're kind of being wowed by maybe the visuals. And an example of this possibly is Damocles, Mercenary 3, I think it was called. Great game, absolutely huge in scope, but again, probably unplayable now because the graphics today, it's like a wireframe nightmare. So it's difficult to maybe, you know, to play that. It's like a Dire Straits video basically, but even worse. But having said that, games like this, which I think obviously just instill 2D, you know, kind of sprite or pixel-led games, they're not too bad. And Dune 2000 is another one where basically it's, you know, pretty good sprite-led gameplay. So there's not a very kind of weak attempt at 3D. Interestingly enough, Liberation Captive 2, I think, started to try and get into that wireframe, I guess, beginnings of 3D, and I would say it probably failed because of it, because it didn't have, I think it wasn't slick enough. It felt very different, and it just wasn't as smooth, I would say. So I think there's certainly scope for these kind of games. Now, I don't know if they've done something similar for a while. You do see a lot of indie games using pixel-based, you know, kind of approach. But I think certainly we need more of them. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's something to look on Steam for, but I just think, you know, there's something very endearing about these kind of games. And you think about it from a kind of point of, you know, how kind of technology is going to go. I mean, you know, if you look at kind of the way trending is certainly looking, you know, you're probably not going to have as much, you know, powerful desktop computing as you maybe once had. You'll move more to tablets and laptops and all that good stuff. Or maybe not even laptops, it'll be tablets and God knows what after that. So I just think games like this, I mean, you know, if this was available on the Android store and, you know, the scale and scope of it's just fantastic, I'd buy this in a heartbeat. So it's just a shame that you don't see these kind of things. I find that most of the time the games you get there's no passion in them anymore. See, these games are labours of love, and I think that's, you know, that's what everybody wants. Is you want a game that somebody's really not thought about the dollar and cents necessarily as their primary factor. It's, you know, what can I do to make a good game? in games like this, certainly things like Elite, I mean, that's a prime example right there, where, you know, it was a labour of love. Yes, they had a commercial decision to make a game, but it's still a premise that they wanted to do something that was just, you know, an incredibly fun game that they would want to play. And again, I think there's not enough of that. I think too many games companies think of, you know, what can we do to be successful in the next Valve, whereas they don't think of the primary reason that, you know, probably most Valve games that are made, which are brilliant, are made because, hey, they want to play it. You know, they made Team Fortress 2, Half-Life 2, and all that good stuff. So, you know, they've made games that are effectively fun. But anyway, that's getting off our soapbox for a moment. So, so we're progressing nicely through the level using the doors, as you can see here, killing the killer doors. I think at this point, you know, I'm kind of still desperately, you know, trying to not use fire axes too much. What I mean by that is, you know, eventually you get to guns with this game, and I don't think I'm too far away from that now. But it's just painful when you're having to really crawl through these early stages of the game, because, you know, towards the end, well, towards the next few missions, actually, you start to get some pretty exotic weaponry that makes the game, again, totally different, because at the moment this is still very much like a Dungeon Master clone alike, and all of a sudden we're then going to be, you know, toting shotguns and machine guns and so on. So, you know, I think it's certainly something about the game that I just really had a passion for. Let me just show you what I'm doing here. So you see here I'm using the camera in the top right to actually look above the ladders and below the ladders. That means I can then jump up and basically shoot. Aha, so you see you go, I can actually now use guns. So what I'm doing here is just scaling up as much as I can to use certain guns. And this is good. So this is handguns is the skill, so I'm just trying to get as much points in that. There are 3 types: pistol, Colt, and Magnum. Obviously, yeah, they go in order of goodness. You see here I'm just trying to find one that I can use. I'm just reselling them. There we go. So that's probably my gun right there. So this is a game changer right here. I think blue can't use them yet, so, and yellow can't either, so it's only my front guys who are using them right now, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's have a look. Yes, no, yellow can use it. So now I've got 6 guns. Should have 8, but blue is obviously not so good with learning, so it takes him a bit longer to figure it out. But yeah, so now I just see we're loading it with ammo. Obviously that's very satisfying. The ka-chink of loading is absolutely awesome. And this then starts to change the game quite a bit, because now it's a ranged style game. So this becomes quite a fun you know, way forward. So here we go, live fire exercise. I do like the way their heads enlarge. I think that's so funny. Oh my god, the dogs. So there are certain enemies in this game that just instill fear in me still. It's like that weird kind of childhood memory of, I don't know, the boogeyman or whatever, but this those dogs are absolutely terrifying because they're fast and they hunt you down. So again, just a reminder of that tactic. See what I'm doing now is as they move away, I'm ducking up and shooting. As they go away, you know, as they turn to face me, I then drop down. So yeah, it may be cheating. See me, it works really well. So and then there's a wall on wheels. Never quite figured that out. Oh my god, more of them. So as you can see with the pistols, it just makes the game so much easier now. You can basically just shoot stuff from a distance and run away. Yeah, these little furballs are buggers as well. Again, I don't actually understand why a military installation would have furballs rolling around it, but hey, you know, it's a game. Again, they're so tough. See how many shots they're taking. It's just absolutely crazy how many shots they need. Oh my god, there's another load. So yeah, I mean, until you get towards the end of the kind of skill tree and you start to get like lasers and stuff, these things just remain a constant pain. So you can see here, just using that tactic again, just ducking up, shooting, dropping down. There's a nice tactic again, I may show it just a bit later on, where if you've got all 3 tiles around the stairwell filled with enemies and you actually go up, you immediately kill what is there above you, which again might be an exploit, whatever, but hey, that's part of the game, I'm going to use it. So and then the final few doors. Oh my god, this is Sparrow guy. And again, I don't know what they are, but hey. But you can see rolling through enemies pretty quickly now, so that's good. Oh, more of them. Crikey. And again, it become a bit of a chore to kill, but you know, eventually you can do it. Sped up, it's just a godsend, because look how easy it is just to keep running around them, shooting them. Oh, this game's so cool. As you get, towards the later levels, you start to get enemies that you just can't run away from. They are faster than you, and that's when it starts to become, where you die a lot. In fact, I haven't died once while playing this yet. Oh, these are tough. Yeah, these are pretty fast things. As you can see, they're pretty quick. But again, it's interesting because, again, the AI is obviously pretty poor because it's just following you and then hitting you. But again, some of the later ones, they actually will turn a different direction. So they'll actually surprise you with moving a different way. Oh, it's so cool. Little gnomes. Don't know what they're doing here. See here, just looting everything. Weird green man, shaky green man. Super ball. Now those balls don't really do anything. They're actually quite, you could throw them and they hurt, but again, it's not much point when you've got pistols. But as you can see here, just charging up. I just love it. I think the idea that you had to charge your robots, absolutely fantastic. Just absolutely love it. So just fixing our chests, because that's really the primary hit point. Buying a few more optics. So we now got a radar. Don't know if you've seen that before. That's the radar. We'll show you that just moving in a minute. Just stocking up again on the old clips. Slightly stereotypical with a Chinese shopkeeper. I'm not too sure. Not too sure I approve of that, but hey. There's a few things. Oh my god, they're tough. These things are horrible. So again, you can see I'm using my duck tactic. Works quite well. So you go up, you blap them, then you drop down again. And it's fantastic. So just to recap then, so basically you have 10 missions per single level, and again it works on an algorithm, so there is actually an unlimited number of I guess campaigns. We'll call the campaign the bit where you have to free yourself, so that's working through 10 bases to get to the final space station where you're being locked as prisoner. And then once you free yourself, you then start again. So you actually then start at like mission 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then you're at another space station and you release another person or yourself again. I don't know. But it's a fantastic thing because, again, it uses, like Elite actually. Elite, I think, had something like 2 billion stars in the solar system in Frontier. And each single one of them you could actually visit, and it worked by having a kind of a repeating algorithm that created space. So on a single floppy disk, you could actually have kind of like a good 1 million plus star systems. I think in the original Elite, for example. So I liked it. I thought it was very clever, but it was all done. Oh, I've just lost the guy there. There we go. You'll see. Walk myself into a corner, and this is usually how I die in the game. But I think I should be able to kill them. We'll see. In Elite, you obviously then you're kind of using maths effectively to give you this kind of massive scale and scope. And Captive used it as well because you can see here I'm just rehanging my character, and then he should have a spare chest. I think, yeah, there we go. So he's now back on his feet. And Captive used the same thing. So all of the levels are randomly generated using, again, a calculation, an algorithm, I guess. And I think it's not to be, that's something we should be quite impressed with actually, because I think there's, that's an incredible achievement when you consider it. That they just didn't have the time, or they didn't have the budget, and they certainly didn't have the storage space and the calculation space and the technology to really, to create a game that would be, in theory, infinite. So they just make this repeating algorithm. Now I think they did balls that up with the PC, because on the PC version, I think you could only do up to mission 5 or 6, and then there was some kind of calculation error that created a level where you couldn't progress past. But that was the PC version. I know on the Amiga version there was no such limit, and I think there are people who've been playing this game for probably 10, 20 years who have now gone to past like campaign 3000, campaign 4000. So you think about that, that's an ungodly amount of missions they played. But I love that. I think that's absolutely fantastic, and it's certainly why I'm playing the game again, because again, it's something I've always come back to, and I've played maybe up to mission 2, 3, and then, you know, like a butterfly's flown by and I've gone chasing it, and that's frustrating to me, because these are the kind of games that I would actually like to record, and, you know, in 10 years time come back and look at them and say, oh my god, I actually played it, and, you know, that's how far I got. So this is why I kind of do it. I think this game is, you know, above all others. Oh, there you see, I've just used that tactic. I've just been able to squash someone to go up or down a ladder. But yeah, basically, this is one of the games that I think I've always wanted to record and log. Another one's Dungeon Master. I've actually done Dungeon Master all the way through now and recorded everything, but I probably won't upload it just because it's not really kind of in keeping with the theme of the channel, which is kind of sci-fi space. But I may, we'll see. But again, the fun I had just playing that game all the way through, and I think it's one of those things when you play as a kid, it's you know, you kind of, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you're not very good as a child. Whereas if you play it as an adult, you kind of remember it, and you know, you're kind of, I guess, you're kind of bolder with it. And certainly when I played Dungeon Master through the first time, it took me probably 2 to 3 weeks to finish it. When I played it through this time, it took me 2 days, and that was not playing a huge amount. So I think maybe it's the kind of, you know, the game mechanics, you understand the way the AI works and that kind of thing, which you don't as a kid. You just kind of get immersed in it, which I think is nice. And there's a few more. I've got Eye of the Beholder, I think 1 to 5, that I'm going to play through. Again, exactly the same style as this. It's, you know, kind of you know, an RPG kind of game. So I'm going to look forward to playing that as well. But I think certainly with Captive, this is going to be something I just keep doing. I don't care if no one watches it. I don't care if everyone hates it. I think to me this is my Peter Sellers moment when he did The Butler. So I'm quite a big fan of this game. Okay, coming towards the end of the level now. I think I've got this level's weird in that it gives you 2 satellites, so I can actually find base 4 and 5, I think, after this one. But again, I think that's, you know, I like that. I think you can actually kind of bypass some of the levels if you want. It's not advisable because, to be honest, you know, I think every time I've played this game, I've always been weak. So 2 or 3 hits from pretty much any NPC will take me down. And I never could figure out why that was. And I think it's probably because I never really upskilled the armor that much, which, you know, hopefully I'm going to try and do this time. So as you see, there's 2 computers there. Now that's a lift. I don't know if I said that. And what I'm doing is I'm walking my camera around. And I just love it. I think it's fantastic. I know Deus Ex did something like this, and I think they stole it directly from this. But I just think it's fantastic. You can actually kind of, you know, scout with automated cameras, and you can actually blow them up as well. You know, if you find something that's a real threat, you can actually blow them up. What I've just done now is activate a shield, just so it doesn't hurt me too much, because I can't really run around them. And you can see here the door is just an amazingly powerful thing. Oh, not more of these bloody things. So this is where I take the next 5 minutes to actually kill them. Now this is sped up, so you have an appreciation of how long it takes to kill these bloody furballs. Now, obviously, thankfully they move slowly, but oh, crikey. And towards the end, you start to get weaponry that can take them down a lot quicker, but even then, they're still incredibly tough. And you can see on the ag scan in red how much damage they're taking. I mean, it's crazy. I prefer these. They're just so soft, it's funny. So, final one. This is the last scientist. And thankfully, he can't come through to the... that's obviously the raisable wall. And you can see here now starting to get some of the satellites. So, here we go. This is now coming towards the end. Going to head back and... I hope... Oh, more of these things. So, I obviously didn't bother fighting them. So, I've just put the explosives... And then I'm out, and then that base is done. And then I'm using a route finder now to actually take me back to the ship. And there we go. So that's mission 3. And now the satellite's away. That's taking me to mission 4. And now actually, because I've got the other satellite as well, so that's mission 4. And I'm setting course. And I can actually find mission 5 as well. But I'll do them in order, because I think, you know, you need the skill. And you can see here, you know, if you don't do it, your experience is reduced, and then it just takes so much longer to actually get anywhere. So I think it's important to actually skill up and do each level in series. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed it. Catch you next time.